Well, one other thought experiment that it might behoove us to discuss a little bit is Frank Jackson about Mary and the White Ribbon. Frank's been on the show a couple of times, and he is a physicalist now. He has renounced this paper.
Yes,
It
I think
still
it's important that he did
yeah,
renounce
but it still has a major hold on a lot of people. I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm not sure. Again, it's been a while since I read it. I think it was Sweet Dreams. Is that what the book
Yeah.
was called? Where you talk about this experiment at length, and I think it's a great example of where people aren't really twisting the knobs enough to come up with the right response. So maybe for those of our listeners who aren't familiar with this very important, historically speaking, thought experiment, what is it? Why does it attempt to, or why does it purport maybe to support dualism? And then what is the knob that's really not being turned here?
Yeah. Well, Frank Jackson said, let's imagine a scientist, Mary, who's an expert on color. She learns everything there is to know about color vision and color, both the optics and the physiology and all the rest. But she herself lives in a colorless world. I don't know. She has to wear white gloves, I guess, and there's no colored shadows in her world, and so she's never actually seen anything red. And then finally one day, her captors release her, and they show her a red rose, and for the first time, she knows what red is. She's learned something new, but she knew all the physical facts about color. So it must be a non-physical fact. Well, first of all, the very idea of anybody knowing all the physical facts about anything is one of those extremely, it's one of those extreme cases that you don't know how to think about. They don't really make sense. What if somebody had all the money in the world? Now what? Does it help them? They can't buy lunch because nobody has any food to sell them because they don't have any money for hose and rakes and water and so forth. I mean, it's just preposterous. Yeah, I mean, who knows what follows from something like that? So the idea that Mary knows all the physical facts about color is just in itself disqualifying as a thought experiment, I think. But beyond that, I said, if she really knows that much, not everything, but a lot about color, she could figure out what her reaction to a red rose would be. And when she was shown a red rose, she'd say, oh, yeah, red, of course. Now, that may be the first time she experienced red, but she would already have been able to predict what her experience was. I told the story just to make the point. I said, suppose that Mary, when her captors release her, instead of showing her a red rose, they show her a blue banana. And she says, you're trying to trick me. That's a blue banana. I know bananas are yellow. Well, how does she do that? Well, you tell me. You telling me she couldn't possibly know that it was a blue banana? You have to tell a long empirical story and a very dubious one to show that she couldn't know that. So I think it's a classic example of a thought experiment that by its necessary extremity, the thought experiment doesn't get off the ground unless it's absolute. You have to know absolutely everything. And so all it does really, and it does this very well, is it dramatizes a bunch of assumptions that are very natural and very intuitive to a lot of people. So those are bad assumptions. Those are bad intuitions that people have. That's one of the shows.